Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to your Monday Night Raw post-show. Starting off the night, man, we got Io Sky and Rhea Ripley coming out to the ring. Both Io Sky and Rhea Ripley have microphones in hand. Rhea talks about War Games, but she also mentions that the fight is not over, and that Rhea said that she wants to get revenge on the Kabuki Warriors, and she also wants the women's tag team titles. After that, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair interrupt Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Alexa then tells Rhea to pump her brakes on the women's tag team titles. Flair also mentions that they deserve a rematch against the Kabuki Warriors for the women's tag team titles. Rhea tells Flair to get back of the line. And then there was a match pretty much made between both teams where it would be Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair taking on Io Sky and Rhea Ripley later on in the night. Some interesting stuff there between both teams. Moving on from that, we have a Last Time Is Now tournament semi-final matchup where it is Jey Uso taking on LA Knight. I thought it was a decent match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between Uso and Knight, with Jey Uso keeping the pace of the match. Jey hits a spear on Knight in the middle of the ring for a near fall, followed by Jey hitting another spear on LA Knight. Jey Uso goes to the top rope, hits an Uso splash on LA Knight for a near fall, but LA Knight hits a roll-up on Jey Uso, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and moving on to the finals in the Last Time Is Now tournament, is LA Knight. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about with this matchup, man, quickly. Number one, I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a really decent match between Jey Uso and LA Knight. Obviously, there's a history there between Jey Uso and LA Knight, just stemming from months ago, if you will, and the history that LA Knights had with Jey Uso and vice versa. The couple interesting factors in this matchup, though, man, there was a spot in this match, and I don't know if you guys were watching Monday Night Raw last night or not, but there was a spot in the match last night where LA Knight was hitting a superplex off the top rope on Jey Uso. So when Knight hit the superplex on Jey Uso and they're both landing in the middle of the ring, you could see Jey Uso quickly turn over and just start beating the shit out of the ring mat. Like, he was pissed off with the spot. He was pissed off with LA Knight. He just looked like he really wasn't happy with the spot or happy with the way the match is going, which, not for nothing, how do you think LA Knight feels? So there was that I took out of that match, that it seemed like there was a different Jey Uso. And then after this matchup that Jey and LA Knight had, LA Knight walks to the back after he wins this match, and then Jey Uso's still standing in the ring, or sitting in the ring. Then he gets out, he's pretty much banging his head off the announce table, pissed off, upset about the match, or the outcome of the match, and then all of a sudden he knocks over the Prime bottles, and then he starts beating the shit out of the steel steps and everything else like that. They're pretty much throwing a hissy fit and pissed off about the match. So I don't know where they're going with Jey Uso, to be honest with you. Was I happy with the outcome of the match? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, man, I know at one time WWE was pushing Jey Uso to the fucking moon and back. And look, I gave praise to Jey. I thought Jey, at that time, was doing everything in his power and busting his ass to get the opportunities that he was getting. Whether it was the Intercontinental title, whether it was winning the Royal Rumble, or whether it was winning the World Heavyweight Championship off Gunther. I thought he did everything in his power to get that. And he busted his ass to get to those opportunities. But Jey Uso now is a lot different than the Jey Uso that we once saw. Meaning that I feel like Jey Uso, in some small capacity, is losing that main event mantra, if you will, to be honest with you. To a point where a lot of people, I think, were happy with the outcome that LA Knight did beat Jey Uso in this matchup for the Last Time Is Now tournament. Number one. Number two, I think Jey Uso, I even mentioned it about Jey Uso a while back ago, that I wouldn't be opposed of a reunion, if you will, of the Usos tag team, to be honest with you. I don't really know what Jey Uso is going to be doing. I don't know if Jey is going to be turning heel. I don't know if he's going to go back to turning babyface. I know he had made comments in a backstage interview that maybe he needs to talk to Roman. So we're going to see how it plays out with Jey Uso, but I wasn't unhappy with the outcome of LA Knight winning this matchup against Jey and moving on to the finals in the Last Time Is Now tournament. Moving on from that, we got the Judgment Day. They come out to the ring. Dominic talks about Survivor Series. He also mentions or talks about John Cena. Mysterio then also says that he's the king of the Luchadors and the best Intercontinental Champion of all time. Dominic then praises the Judgment Day, but he also praises Liv Morgan, and Liv Morgan comes out to the ring. Liv says that she's missed the Judgment Day, but she says she's also heard things about the Judgment Day, whether they're falling apart or they're not winning anymore, and she said that's all going to change because the Judgment Day are back. Some interesting stuff there from Liv Morgan, also considering the fact that she didn't mention anything else about losing her women's world title or had to vacate the title, anything else like that. She just pretty much said that the Judgment Day are back. So some interesting stuff there from Liv Morgan. After that, we had a great video package of Maxxine Dupri training with Natalya, or aka Natty. Now, I thought this video package was awesome. I thought the way it was put together was awesome. I thought seeing this other version of Natalya, it looked like it was the Natty version of Natalya and not Natalya, which, if you guys haven't seen the Natty version of Natalya, she's wrestled a little bit on the indies once in a blue moon, and WWE allows her to do so, and it's more of a roughier, more edgier Natalya than we're used to seeing. So when I saw this video package, it kind of had a lot of resemblance to Natty, and she was training Maxxine Dupri, so I thought it was great. I thought it was put together very well. And to be honest with you, I think that's one of the best roles for Natalya, is to train the younger talent, whether it's in NXT or the current main roster right now, to help them progress in their wrestling career. I think she'd be a great trainer. I think she'd be a great great, talent relations to bring in other women from the independents or NXT, scout them out, train them. Absolutely. I think that would be right in Natalya's element. Absolutely. So I thought this was put together very well for Maxxine and Natalya. Moving on from that, we have a World Tag Team title matchup where it is Dragon Lee and AJ Styles defending the World Tag Team titles against the New Day. The match itself, I thought, was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between both teams with the New Day keeping the pace of the match. AJ Styles applies the calf crusher in the middle of the ring, but the hold is broken. But AJ Styles ends up hitting his signature Styles Clash in the middle of the ring on Kofi Kingston, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match and still World Tag Team Champions are Dragon Lee and AJ Styles. Hats off to Dragon Lee and AJ Styles for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have The Vision. The Vision come out to the ring. Heyman then pays respect to Lesnar and McIntyre. A little shout out to Lesnar and McIntyre, if you will. Heyman then also pays respect to The Vision. Heyman then announces that it will be CM Punk defending the World Heavyweight title against Bron Breakker January 5th at the Barclays Center in New York. Breakker then grabs a microphone and says that he is upset on how easy it was to beat CM Punk. He mentions, watching CM Punk as a fan and everything else like that and what CM Punk meant for the business, but he was upset on how easy it was to beat CM Punk. Braun also says that Punk is a soft-ass bitch. After this, Braun then mocks Seth Rollins and the veterans in the locker room, and then he ends up leaving the ring and walking to the back. Some interesting stuff there between Bron Breakker and CM Punk. Moving on from that, we have another semi-final matchup in the Last Time Is Now tournament where it is Gunther taking on Solo Sikoa. I thought this was actually a good match. Back and forth matchup between Gunther and Solo, with Solo keeping the pace of the match. Gunther and Solo both exchanged in the middle of the ring, with Solo hitting a splash off the top rope on Gunther for a near fall. Gunther then gets up, applies a sleeper hold on Solo, but the hold is broken. Gunther then attacks Tala Tonga, who was ringside. Gunther then hits a low blow on Solo Sikoa, followed by Gunther hitting a devastating powerbomb on Solo Sikoa, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and moving on to face LA Knight in the finals of the Last Time Is Now tournament, is Gunther. Hats off to Gunther for getting the win in this matchup. And moving on from that, we go into our main event of Monday Night Raw. It is a tag team matchup. It is Io Sky teaming up with Rhea Ripley to take on Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. The match itself, I thought, was a decent match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between both teams, with Io and Rhea keeping the pace of the match. Rhea then hits a huge botch, by the way, in this matchup. Flair then hits a natural selection in the middle of the ring, followed by Alexa Bliss hitting a Sister Abigail into a DDT for a near fall. Rhea Ripley then hits her signature Riptide, followed by Io Sky going to the top rope, hitting a moonsault off the top rope. Then all of a sudden, the Kabuki Warriors are here. The Kabuki Warriors attack Io and Rhea Ripley. The match ends up being a disqualification. After this, Lyra, Valkyria, and Bayley come out to the ring. Lyra and Bayley attack the Kabuki Warriors. And then all of a sudden, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Roxanne Perez come out to the ring and attack the Kabuki Warriors. So it does seem as if the Judgment Day are back. A couple of things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to Monday Night Raw before I get the hell up out of here. Number one, Triple H saying that this Raw last night, Monday Night Raw, was supposed to be so goddamn epic was a fucking joke. It was not epic. It was not something where it was like, holy shit, or anything else like that. There was actually a couple of things about Monday Night Raw that I actually was not happy about. And I'm going to start with the very beginning. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky coming out to the ring. Obviously, a lot of fans are fans of both Io and Rhea Ripley. I'm a fan of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley as well. But there was so much backlash, man, coming out of Survivor Series from a lot of people. And it's not just me saying this. A lot of people were highly upset and pissed off of how Survivor Series was presented and how it all went down. And a lot of people were also pissed off with the Women's War Games matchup. I wasn't as pissed off as a lot of other people, but do I think the match was necessarily needed for Survivor Series? No. I felt like it was just put together out of thin air, and we're going to do a Women's War Games matchup because the men are also having a Men's War Games matchup, so they're trying to make it fair between the men's roster of WWE as well as the women's roster in WWE. But then we get to Monday Night Raw, and then we see Io Sky and Rhea Ripley come out to the ring, and basically all they're doing is calling out the Kabuki Warriors for a women's tag team title match opportunity. There was other ways that we could have done this matchup or set this match up or leading us up to this match besides a Women's War Games matchup. You know what I mean? But then we had Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair come out, and they said they want their rematch. So it literally was all over the place, to be honest with you. And to be honest, you know, I feel like, and call me crazy, but after what we saw at the main event, and after what we saw in the beginning of the show, it looks like maybe, just maybe, WWE might be a little jealous, if you will, of what AEW currently is doing with their women roster right now and the women's division over in AEW. Because I'm going to be honest, and a lot of people have been talking about this too, if we're comparing apple to oranges from the Women's War Games matchup at Survivor Series to the women's match at Blood and Guts, it's vastly different. Literally night and day. Where I am going to go on a limb here and say that the women's AEW Blood and Guts match was way better than what we got in the women's War Games in Survivor Series, in my opinion. Might be far-fetched for a lot of people, might be a stretch, but that's just my opinion. I think the women's Blood and Guts match was way better than the women's War Games matchup this year, hands down. So I really wasn't thrilled with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there was other ways that we could have got there for Rhea Ripley and Io Sky to challenge the Kabuki Warriors, to be honest with you. So there's other ways to go about it from that. So I wasn't thrilled about that. And then we get Dominic Mysterio in the Judgment Day. Dominic comes out to the ring from a great ovation from the crowd as well, and then they introduce Liv Morgan. This is Liv Morgan's return on Monday Night Raw since she's been out with injury. So obviously she got a huge ovation and huge pop from the crowd. My only stickler though with Liv Morgan when she came out last night on Monday Night Raw and cut that promo was there was no mentions about her injury. There was no mentions about what she had to go through with that injury. There was no mentions even at that time about having to vacate her women's world title, or not vacate the women's world title, but her wanting to go back after Stephanie Vaquer for the women's world title because technically she didn't vacate it with injury. So there was a lot of what ifs in that scenario for me. I think, if I'm being honest, I would rather have her talk about her injury. I'd rather have her say, you know what, I'm back, I'm coming after the women's world title. I know there was a little stare down there backstage between Stephanie and Liv Morgan. Pretty much Liv giving her a heads up like, hey, I'm back, I'm coming after that women's world title, which is great. But I figured she would say more about it in the promo that she cut last night on Monday Night Raw, in my opinion. So I really wasn't super happy about that, if I'm being honest. Is it great to see her back on Monday Night Raw? Absolutely. I think Liv Morgan, unfortunately, with Liv being out with injury at the time that she was out with injury, I think it definitely affected Evolution too. Hands down. I think Liv Morgan had a lot of plans Monday Night Raw and the Powers That Be had a lot of plans for Liv Morgan going into Evolution 2, which ultimately flopped. I think she was in a lot of plans, but unfortunately she suffered an injury, I think, in the matchup against Kairi Sane, where she was on the shelf. You know what I mean? So I think it definitely changed up a lot of plans, specifically for Monday Night Raw, for sure. So to have her back into the fold of things again and competing on Monday Night Raw is going to be great. I think it's awesome. And quite frankly, I'm not against seeing a matchup between Liv Morgan and Stephanie for the women's world title. I'm not against it at all. But the other side of the fence, though, seeing her saying the Judgment Day are back, we're going to see how that's going to play out. Because the Judgment Day has kind of been taking a back seat. Finn Balor and JD McDonough have kind of been the mainstays. I mean, Mysterio is in the Judgment Day, but I feel like he's kind of been on his own in some small capacities, especially dealing with John Cena. So, and the Judgment Day has changed. You know what I mean? Carlito was gone. I mean, mainly it's been Raquel. And for a while, I mean, since Liv left, a lot of it was Raquel and Roxanne. Especially in the women's tag team division. A lot of it was Raquel and Roxanne. They were basically, it was either Roxanne or Raquel Rodriguez that ever since Liv got injured was basically on every Monday Night Raw since she was out with injury. Whether it was Roxanne in the main event or in a match, or Raquel in a main event or a match, those were the two mainstays from the Judgment Day that really were competing every single Monday night. So when she says the Judgment Day is back, it might not necessarily mean Finn and JD McDonough. It might just be Liv, Raquel, and Roxanne. I mean, even after the match in the main event, you know, and before Liv had left, there was a little hostility there between her and Roxanne. And you see both Raquel and Roxanne pick up the women's tag team titles. Liv Morgan gets in the ring, and then Roxanne goes to hand her one half of the women's tag team titles, and Liv Morgan says, no, you deserve this. You've earned this. And she gives, you know, Roxanne the title back, and then she gets in the middle between Raquel and Roxanne, and then, you know, lifts her arms up in celebration for all three of those women. So it looks like there's really no heat right now at the moment between Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez, and Liv is trying to come back to restore the feeling, if you will, of the Judgment Day, and the Judgment Day and being the most predominant stable on Monday Night Raw. So there's also that. So we're going to see how it plays out. You know what I'm saying? But am I super thrilled or excited thinking that Judgment Day is going to make a comeback? Not really, but it is great to see Liv Morgan back, not only in the squared circle again, but also back on Monday Night Raw. The other thing that I had a small issue with, now we're going to get into the Vision, because obviously this was the huge elephant in the room. This was like the main vocal point going into Monday Night Raw. Everybody wanted to hear from the Vision, specifically Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and everybody and their grandmother wanted to know who the hell was the masked assailant that climbed into the cage, hit that foot stomp on CM Punk, which allowed Braun Breaker to hit a spear and pin for the 1-2-3 and allow his team to get the win in War Games. Everybody was wondering who the hell is this guy that was the masked assailant, if you will, that got involved in this matchup and ultimately got Braun Breaker and the Vision and his team to win at Survivor Series. So going into Monday Night Raw, everybody was saying that Paul Heyman was supposed to reveal who the hell this person was that climbed into the cage at War Games. Well, that didn't happen. Right now, still nobody knows who the hell that masked assailant was. And there's been people, I mean, bro, there's been people out the wazoo, bro, trying to figure out who the hell this person is. I mean, there's people saying it could be Chris Jericho. There's people saying it could be Jon Moxley or Dean Ambrose, or it could be Seth Rollins. Now, Seth Rollins was mentioned quite a bit last night on Monday Night Raw. There was even AJ Styles even mentioned that, you know, Seth Rollins was walking around backstage at Survivor Series. He didn't have a sling on his arm. So a lot of people now are starting to speculate, well, maybe it's Seth Rollins once again pulling a ruse on everybody once again. Maybe he was injured and he got healthy really damn quick and recovered well, and he's medically cleared to compete once again. I'm hoping it's not Seth Rollins right now. To me, I told you guys this when I did my review for Survivor Series, that my firm belief that it should be Austin Theory. Now, again, I even made comments about the Vision after Survivor Series that obviously McIntyre was going to go off and do his own thing, and I thought Logan Paul was going to go off and do his own thing. That's not the case. It looks like Logan Paul is sticking around the Vision, so it looks like it is Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul in this new Vision stable, if you will, being led by Paul Heyman. So I think that person that jumped that cage is the new member of the Vision, and I think it's Austin Theory. Austin Theory's name has been floating around for quite some time now with relation to the Vision, and that he's going to come back, he's going to be in the Vision, he's going to be a heel, and everything else like that. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know what better way, if it is Austin Theory, to incorporate him in to the division the way they're doing right now, with him being the masked assailant that ultimately helped Paul Heyman in the division to get the win at War Games. You know what I mean? And I mentioned this before. I mean, Paul Heyman has, he's a mastermind of the business, bro. He's always got a plan B. I even mentioned that division has a lot of similarities to what the Dangerous Alliance was that Paul Heyman was the manager of back in the old WCW days. I mean, I think that was Bobby Eaton, Arn Anderson, Rick Rude. I think Stunning Steve Austin was actually a part of that stable as well. So, I mean, it was a strong stable back in WCW coming out the gate, bro. So, I mean, it's the same thing here with division, where you got the likes of a Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul, with the possibility of them adding Austin Theory as the fourth guy in this new Vision stable. And then we get into the comments that were made from Paul Heyman, Heyman announcing that it will be Braun Breaker taking on CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title in January at the Barclays Center. I'm going to be honest. Breaker needs to walk out of that match World Heavyweight Champion. I know there's been rumors and speculation that Breaker and CM Punk is going to have a match at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight title. To me, that's too fucking long. That's way too long, bro. You're talking from January to fucking April. That's way too long. And honestly, what is it really going to do for Braun Breaker going into WrestleMania? Breaker has to go into the Barclays Center in January against CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title and beat CM Punk for that world title. Now, here's the other thing, too. We got no inkling on who this mystery person was that climbed the cage. Now, this could be something. Again, it could be a ruse, where we get the match here between CM Punk and Braun Breaker for the World Heavyweight title. And let's say, hypothetically, it is Seth Rollins, who was the masked assailant. But maybe the story is this. Seth Rollins has a history with CM Punk. We all know that. And that he was going to make, and still make, CM Punk's life a living hell no matter what. No matter what. If Rollins was there and he was ready to go and he was healthy, he's going to do everything in his power to cause CM Punk to lose his matches. That's just the storyline in itself. So let's say, and this is just conspiracy theory here, so just hear me out. Let's say that Seth Rollins was the person that climbed that cage and cost CM Punk and his team the win at War Games and allowed the Vision to get the win. Now, some of you could say, well, bro, that might be confusing if it was Seth Rollins, considering what Braun Breaker did to Seth Rollins. Yeah, you're right. On paper, that would make no sense. But again, Seth Rollins has made it blatantly clear, no matter what, that he is not going to let CM Punk win. So there's that. So let's say we get to the world title match in January, and we still don't know who this masked assailant still is. It's still up in the air on who this person may be. So let's say we get to January, next month. We still don't know who the hell this masked assailant is. They're keeping it hush-hush and keeping it quiet leading up to this world title match between CM Punk and Braun Breaker. And we get to this match, this main event match between Punk and Breaker. And the match happens. And right before the finish, we see this masked assailant come out of nowhere and cost CM Punk the match. He beats the hell out of CM Punk once again, where he doesn't beat Braun Breaker, but Braun Breaker also doesn't become World Heavyweight Champion. And then we get the reveal that maybe it is Seth Rollins. Because then at that point, Seth Rollins cost Braun Breaker his match and his moment. And then him beating CM Punk is just an extra notch on the belt of him going out there beating the hell out of CM Punk as well, hitting another foot stop on CM Punk, where Punk doesn't get the win over Braun Breaker. You know what I mean? So again, you're kind of playing devil's advocate in the aspect that if that is the case, and it is Seth Rollins, this could be something where they're going to keep this shit quiet until we get to January for this world title matchup, where the mystery person would be revealed, and it could possibly be Seth Rollins, where there's still heat, obviously, there between Rollins and Braun Breaker, possibly, where Seth Rollins cost Braun Breaker his biggest opportunity in his career by not winning the World Heavyweight title. It's a possibility. Is that possibly the route that we could be going into WrestleMania this year? Could it be a triple threat match between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship? If Seth Rollins is cleared medically and he's able to come back and compete in the square circle again. That's just my prediction. If it's not Austin Theory, and let's say hypothetically it's Seth Rollins, I think that might be the way that they might be going if it is Seth Rollins. Maybe they'll wait until we get to January for the world title matchup between CM Punk and Braun Breaker. We get to the match, and right before the finish, maybe Braun Breaker's going for a spear, and then all of a sudden, this mass assailant returns again, hits a foot stomp on CM Punk. Referee sounds for the bell, ultimately costs Braun Breaker his biggest moment in his wrestling career, and cost him the World Heavyweight title. And then that person reveals himself as none other than Seth Rollins. So then we pick up the storyline between CM Punk and Seth Rollins that had never got finished, number one. And two, it intensifies as a story between Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, because you have to remember, Braun Breaker was the one that took Seth Rollins out of the Vision with that spear. And Breaker's been talking shit about Seth Rollins. So again, is this something where we're going to be going into January and that person under the mask is ultimately going to be revealed as Seth Rollins? Just a conspiracy theory, man, but again, this could be something that possibly could work if it is Seth Rollins. So we're going to see how it plays out, man, but it's very interesting. But again, remember what I said, it's just a conspiracy theory, but maybe it is Seth Rollins. Maybe Rollins cost Braun Breaker his biggest opportunity in his entire career by costing him the World Heavyweight Championship by disqualification by Rollins attacking CM Punk. Just saying, just throwing it out there, if it is in fact Seth Rollins. But again, I mean, was it a horrible show last night? No. But Triple H saying that the Monday Night Raw is going to be so goddamn epic, bro, stop. Absolutely stop. And to be honest with you, bro, a lot of people were upset with Survivor Series the way it went down, myself included. I mean, honestly, it seemed like a money scheme to me. They only give a shit about the money, and I understand the fact that it's a business. I get it. For those out there, well, you don't understand, it's also a business, bro. It's not just about the wrestling. No, bro, I get it. It's a business. They're trying to make profit. They're trying to make money. They're trying to, be profitable, which they are. I'm not saying WWE is not profitable. But, bro, they're making their money. I mean, again, I think, Royal Rumble is going to be in Saudi Arabia. So, I mean, they're making their money. WrestleMania is also going over to Saudi Arabia. They're making their money. From these pay-per-views to, ticket sales, they're making their money. I mean, there's still people, buying front row tickets. And I'm telling you right now, those prices are absolutely insane, bro. Absolutely insane. To sit, especially nowadays, sitting front row on a Monday Night Raw or a PLE or something. Nah, bro. Nah. Hell no. No. They're about the money. TKO itself is about the money. So they're looking for the best way to make a profit. Which it might take away a little bit from the wrestling aspect of things, and it's the reason why why they're all there. Is the wrestling that we're getting week in and week out, whether it's Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, and then also the PLEs. So I just don't want it to take away the aspect of why we're all here, and that's the pro wrestling. The other thing I quickly want to talk about, too, is the Last Time Is Now tournament. Now, I mentioned this last week. I might have mentioned it the week before that. And I will go on a limb here and say that I told you guys that if it was put together well, this could be the best tournament that we've seen in the States. I wish I could retract that statement, to be honest with you. Because this tournament has been shit, to be honest with you. Now, has it had star power? Absolutely. But I made comments about this, I believe, last week, where I thought that we would see more NXT talent. We've only got Javon Evans. Now, there was some surprises in this tournament, whether it was Matt Cardona, a.k.a. Zack Ryder, and Dolph Ziggler, making their little one-day return back to WWE. So it got fans excited with these mystery opponents for, like, LA Knight and vice versa and yada, yada, yada. So we got that, but this tournament has fell flat, bro. And I'm going to be honest, the way things are shaping up, and I made comments about this last week, that I think Gunther is the for sure winner at the end of this tournament, and he will be facing John Cena in DC at Saturday Night's Main Event. I think that's the way it's shaping up. And for the fans out there that are LA Knight fans, look, man, I don't know what to tell you. I've said this now multiple times about LA Knight. Now, would I be surprised if LA Knight beats Gunther? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Would I be shocked if he lost? No. Absolutely not. Because the minute they announced Gunther for this tournament, I automatically assumed that he was going to be the guy to face John Cena. And that's the direction that WWE was going. And now that he's in the finals against LA Knight, it's hard for me to say that LA Knight's going to get the win and move on to the finals to face John Cena. Or move on to face John Cena in John Cena's last match, to be honest with you. So, again, what does it really do for LA Knight? I don't see... If LA Knight does not get the win in this matchup against Gunther, I don't know if they're really putting a lot of faith in LA Knight. Now, again, the masked person or masked assailant could be anybody. Do I think it's LA Knight? I highly doubt it. But if LA Knight doesn't get the win in this matchup, I can honestly tell you guys right now that I don't know what the future is going to look like for an LA Knight. And that's not me saying, oh, he won't have he won't be in WWE or anything else like that, or he won't win matches and all this other shit. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is that there clearly is a message here for those LA Knight fans that WWE doesn't have a whole lot of, I don't know the right word for it, a lot of notion, if you will, to push him to the main event scene, to push him to a world title, to push him to be the top guy on whether it's Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. I don't think they see, quote-unquote, the vision, if you will, of LA Knight being a main event star or a main event person in Raw or SmackDown. I don't think they see that in LA Knight. I think he's mid-card at best. Which, honestly, as a fan, it's a shame, because I think LA Knight could be a guy that could be a world champion. He could be World Heavyweight Champion. I have no problem with LA Knight being the World Heavyweight Champion. He's over with the fans. He's great on the microphone. He's good in the ring. I don't know why they're very hesitant to really push LA Knight to the main event scene or be a world champion. And LA Knight's been with WWE for a little bit of time now. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if, like I said, LA Knight has a lot of faith, or WWE has a lot of faith in LA Knight to be one of the top guys in this business right now. I don't know. But if LA Knight, like I said, loses his matchup against Gunther, which most likely he will, I don't know what the plan is for LA Knight. I just don't. And I'm on the same boat with Drew McIntyre until McIntyre was announced for the War Games and Survivor Series. But even after that, where are we going here with Drew McIntyre? You know what I'm saying? Because after War Games, it looks like Roman has his sights set on Cody Rhodes and the Universal Championship. So they might be running this back between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns going into this year's WrestleMania, which I have no idea how they're going to top what they did at WrestleMania 40. To be honest with you, the only way they would have to top what they did at WrestleMania 40 is that Cody does sell his soul to The Rock and Cody turns heel. That's the only way they're even going to come close to topping what they did at WrestleMania 40. Rhodes would have to turn heel. And he would pretty much have to sell his soul to The Rock. And The Rock would have to be involved and actually show up to fucking work and be a part of Monday Night Raw or SmackDown leading us into WrestleMania. And actually show up. That's the only way, logically, it's going to make sense. But Rhodes would 100% have to turn heel. And I don't see WWE or Cody Rhodes even entertaining the idea right now of him turning heel. To be honest. So I don't know how that matchup's going to look at WrestleMania if they're deciding to do that match. But, man, I don't know how you're going to top what you did at WrestleMania 40, if I'm being honest. With that being said, also, I mean, like I said, Drew McIntyre, I don't know what's going to be next for McIntyre. So there's a lot of things up in the air, man. And I put LA Knight and Drew McIntyre kind of in the same category where individually, I don't know what WWE really wants to do with them. I know some people, he was just in a contest with Cody Rhodes for the Universal title. Yeah, he lost, bro. Multiple times against Cody Rhodes. It's not like they're pushing him back to the Universal Champion and having Drew McIntyre as the Universal Champion. I think the last time we've seen Drew McIntyre as a Universal Champion was during the pandemic era, where there was no fans or any kind of crowd at all in attendance for these shows. It was all the Thunderdome, if you will, for Raw and SmackDown. I think the biggest moment in his career for Drew McIntyre in WWE was without fans. And he was the Universal Champion during the pandemic with no fans. That was the last time we've seen him as Universal Champion. So, I mean, I don't know, bro. I really don't know. But what I will say is, like I said, do I think Monday Night Raw last night was quote-unquote epic? No, I don't. I don't think it was epic at all. I don't think it was complete shit. but I don't think it was quote unquote epic. It was great to see Liv Morgan back. It was great to see the plan for the Vision, especially Braun Breaker. Looks like he is going to be getting a world title match against CM Punk in January at the Barclays Center in New York. So we're going to see how that plays out. And I can tell you right now, the Barclays Center in New York is going to be absolutely insane. It's going to be awesome. It should be a sold-out crowd. The fans are going to be absolutely crazy in the Barclays Center in New York. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And like I said, man, I think there's a very good chance that my conspiracy theory that I had could possibly come to fruition. Could come to fruition. Maybe Seth Rollins comes back. He attacks CM Punk. He calls Braun Breaker his biggest moment in his career. And then Seth Rollins is back. Maybe they're pushing towards a triple threat match between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker for the World Heavyweight title going into WrestleMania. It's a possibility. I mean, nothing really is off the table at this point, especially with Seth Rollins, man. You just never know. We all saw what happened the last time when he got quote-unquote injured, and he pulled the carpet underneath everybody's feet and shocked the world. So we don't know who that person is that climbed into the cage and attacked CM Punk, which allowed Braun Breaker to hit a spear and get the win for his team at War Games. So it's going to be very telling to see how things play out with who this masked assailant was that climbed the cage at Survivor Series, and we're going to see how this is going to play out moving forward with the Vision. But with that being said, though, this is my review of Monday Night Raw. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.